Hi, in this video I'd like to talk about my own very subjective views on Toastmasters International and in particular on Toastmaster Clubs. Now, over the past 49 years I've been a member of probably around a dozen to 15 Toastmasters Clubs. I'd really have to check back to work that out exactly. But what I'm saying here is there is a great difference between clubs. Some clubs grow to be old, others die almost in infancy. And I think one of the reasons for this is, as Stephen R Covey says in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, if you don't have involvement, you don't get commitment. Involvement and commitment go together. The clubs I belong to at the moment have been around for many years, the least of them for 20 years. One goes back about 30 years and one goes back 55 years. I rejoined the club, which has been going for 55 years, about a year ago. I rejoined it for the 4th time. Why? I rejoined it because of all the other clubs I've been in, I've reached the stage where I felt I wasn't being challenged to learn new things. I wasn't feeling pressure. Whereas the club that had been going 55 years, this is Parramatta Club, Parramatta Evening Club, has an extremely high standard. And thereby, because it's got a high standard, I know that I'm not always going to come, how could I put it without sounding too vain, getting the best speaker of the night most of the time. This doesn't happen at Parramatta Club because the standard is so high. 2 of the clubs I belong to, Parramatta's one of them, Parramatta apparently has had 21 10 out of 10 DCP points for the last 21 years. Dundas, which is the other club, another club I'm in, has had 10 out of 10 points, DCP points, since it charted 19 years ago, and we're coming up to 20 years. This would have to be some sort of record, a club that's got 10 out of 10 since it began. Why is this? I think it's because, as I said, involvement brings commitment. And I find that the successful clubs have a lot of activity which goes on behind the scenes to make sure that the meetings really do go well. For example, if they have a committee meeting, they don't knock it together half an hour or an hour before the meeting starts. They set aside a particular date or day or evening to have that committee meeting where they can sit down and discuss at leisure and over a period of time what they need to do to keep the club functioning and functioning well. I know when I was president of Dundas, we used to meet in the evening. We would deal with the business over a meal. It was something we all looked forward to. The committee meeting was not arduous. It was a pleasurable evening in which all the business was taken care of. I think this is important. As I said, some clubs live to old age and some die in infancy. And even those that have been going a long while sometimes fail. I can remember a club called Karingal Club. I was a member for a couple of years. 2 or 3 years after I left, it failed. Another club I saw start was a corporate club in a bank. Started off razzmatazz, lots of people attending, but there was no involvement by the members. It was one of those clubs where the boss said, I'm setting up a Toastmasters Club, you better come along. So as soon as he got transferred to another bank branch, within 2 or 3 meetings, the club had folded, just died away into nothing. You've got to have involvement of the membership in the decision-making processes of that club if you want the club to survive in the long term. And in the programming, everybody should get an assignment. How many times have you been to a club where you've seen the VPE, or the person who's arranging who's going to speak and who's not, actually missing out on some people altogether? They come and they sit in the meeting and they haven't done anything, not even a table topic. No wonder they drop away. Every person attending every meeting should at least get one opportunity to speak at that meeting. Otherwise, why would they come along? They come along, of course, to gain, first of all, confidence. And then after that, competence. And if you want to keep them there, they would like to feel that they're developing excellence by continuing their membership. So, to reiterate, if you want your club to survive and be top-notch, involve everyone. Involvement gets commitment. Without commitment, the club will fail. With commitment, being in the club is something to be enjoyed.